Hey YouTube, this week I'm going to be working on this empty corner in my shop. I cleaned it out some time ago and haven't quite decided what to do with it. If you build a rigid or stiff system, works great, you love it at first, and later on you think, boy, I wish I'd have done this or I'd have done that. So I put a lot of thought into what I'm going to do with this corner, and I've decided to go with French cleats. What is a French cleat? By simply taking a board and cutting a 45-degree angle on one side, let's imagine this tabletop is the wall. By placing it like this, it leaves a nice hook. Then on your shelf or whatever else you're attaching, you get the same 45 degrees, but it's turned inward. That way, it kind of hooks into it. Now the first thing I've got to do is find the studs so I can connect the cleats to it securely. Now, I don't know if you can see it. Shops or garages are usually not painted quite well enough. And right here you can see where some nails have started to bleed through. I'm pretty sure that's where a stud is, but I'm going to double check. And it lines up with those. Now that I've got my studs found, I need to mark how tall I'm going to make this. I'm going to use a simple straight edge. Now, in case I was a little crooked at the bottom or something, I'm going to check various levels of it to make sure there is a stud there. Alright, now I can prepare the cleats for mounting. Now here's the edge of my cleat. This side will be towards the inside, so I'll drill pilot holes and countersink on this side. My studs are approximately 15 inches center. This board is 29 and a half. Now there's nothing special about that measurement. This is just free wood or free MDF. That's why I'm using it. Measurements don't quite suit me, but beggars can't be choosers. We want to make sure the board's centered, so half of 29 and a half is about 14 3/4. Should be right about there. Now double check yourself, simply turn your tape measure around and that should line up at 14 3/4. I'm going to round up, now let's see, it's 15 and a half, so I'll need 15. About 7.5 inches from center. And then of course I'll find center of the board and I'll pre-drill all these holes and countersink them. Now, a handy trick, you line up all your cleats, putting them straight and joint marked. And using a speed square to kind of line everything up. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just a simple way to speed things up. Now, find the center. These are 4 inches, so 2 inches. I'll take the speed square down through here, and I'll mark them all. Now, once you have all your places marked, use a countersink just so the head of the screw goes in nice and flush. And I'll go ahead and I will pre-countersink each and every one of these boards. I have loaded a 3/32 drill bit into the drill press because you need a pilot hole, especially with MDF, or you're liable to split out your work. Now, I've already set my fence. And a neat trick with this line I used earlier, I just simply mark my back fence, then I can slide the board down and hit the other one a little faster. Once you have your pilot holes drilled, making certain your curve or your 45-degree angle is to the outside, you'd feel pretty foolish if it ends up flush against the wall. I went ahead and started my screws. I'm using 2.5-inch screws. Now you'll notice my lines on the board are just a little further apart than the lines on the wall. That's just the way it worked out. Now, I'm going to put squares on this at a level. And she's good. You can't guarantee that this trim, whoever put it in level. They could have put it in to just simply match the concrete. And as you go up, it could make your shelving tilt one way or the other. There's a stud back there. Now these smaller pieces, cut with 45, these will go on the back of my shelving units to just slide down in here and hook. Now I don't want to put this right on top of there because remember this has to go in and drop down. So what I'm going to do is actually use one of my cleats, main cleats, as a spacer, which is 4 inches. Now this will create quite a gap between them, but I got to have supports come down and I want them to rest on these other cleats below. And also doing this method, I'm making sure the flat side is resting on top of that 45. But I can line everything up and keep it square. And I'll just work my way up the wall. Now I got lucky right here. You can see my line doesn't quite mesh up with my guides. Even though I double check that, your electronic stud finders do have some faults to them. But fortunately, with my bottom board level and using another cleat as a spacer, keeping them lined up and squared at the ends, I hit a stud all the way up. And just to double check, I'm still square up here. I got to take all that crap down before I can check it there. Now we can build a shelf. Here's the back of my shelf. What, you thought I was going to show you how to make a shelf? If you're watching these videos on French cleats, you probably done figured that out. Now what I want, if it's upside down, this is the top. So I want everything to be flush. I don't want no gaps in the back. I'll glue and screw it. Make sure your 45 has this notch, because if you put it on backwards, you're really going to be perturbed. So I'm going to attach this, and then we're going to put it on there. Now when you get done, if you're lucky, your cleat on the back of your shelf will be flush, which will get you flush to the wall, and hopefully you won't mess up and put that on backwards. Now the advantage to this system is it's not permanent. A lot of times you'll get a good idea, you'll make something solid, and then a little while later you decide, oh, that sucks. If you don't like it here, you can move it up. Now I extended the backboard enough to touch the cleat below the one it hangs from, that way it gives it extra rigidity. Say you didn't like the shelf, or like this one, I plan on putting some drawers on it later on. If I never get around to it, just don't like it, or I'm so ashamed of it I need to take it out and burn it, it's no big deal. You can just remove it. They're pretty strong. Now I built this shelf out of 1/2 inch MDF. All my cleats are 3/4 inch. The reason I used MDF is I have an abundant supply of it. You did see me cutting a lot of the strips. I don't have a dust collection unit, and it's rather cold outside, so I just took it out real quick with a table saw and sliced her up. But that's it. For more videos on cleats, it don't take much if you're already on YouTube. Just type in French cleat. Most of this idea was thought of, or I got the idea from Frank Hawthorne, Howarth. He did a real good job of creating more space in a closet, and he builds all kinds of shelves and hanging devices for this system. Hopefully this will make your shop more versatile and more adaptable to new tools or new projects. Simple, easy, and you can actually do it out of cheap lumber. I'd recommend 3/4 inch material, whether it be wood. If it's a little thicker, that won't hurt nothing. Make sure it's hooked to a stud though, if you're going to be putting a lot of weight on it, if you're just organizing. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch. I appreciate any and all comments and suggestions. Thank you.